Today is Tuesday, April 28th, and this is VOA's International Edition. I'm Lori Lundin in Washington. Coming up, the World Health Organization warns the global community not to let their guard down against COVID-19.
The pandemic is far from over.
The environmental implications of the planet on lockdown. Also ahead, how virtual reality is helping elderly citizens cope with immobility of all kinds. It's all on today's International Edition. The head of the World Health Organization warned on Monday that the new coronavirus pandemic is far from over.
WHO continues to be concerned about the increasing trends in Africa, Eastern Europe, Latin America, and some Asian countries.
And on this World Immunization Week, WHO Director General Tedros Adhanom Ghebreyesus said shortages of vaccines against other diseases are being reported in 21 countries as a result of border restrictions linked to the pandemic. He says he is deeply concerned about the impact of the disruption of normal health services, especially on children.
Children may be at relatively low risk from severe disease and death from COVID-19, but can be at high risk from other diseases that can be prevented with vaccines.
Tedros warned that the number of malaria cases in sub-Saharan Africa could double. The United Nations International Children's Fund, or UNICEF, reports over 13 million children worldwide did not receive any vaccines at all in 2018, as the coronavirus further impacts immunization rate. Global confirmed coronavirus cases surpassed 3 million on Monday, as many countries are now taking steps to ease lockdown measures that have brought the world to a standstill over the past 8 weeks. U.S. President Donald Trump Monday said he is rolling out a plan to reopen the country.
We're releasing additional guidance on testing to inform the states as they develop their plans for a phased and very safe reopening.
Trump again portrayed an optimistic outlook even as the United States nears 1 million cases.
There's a hunger for getting our country back, and it's happening faster than people would think.
More than 55,000 American lives have been lost in the coronavirus pandemic. Many Italians are displeased with the details provided by Prime Minister Giuseppe Conte regarding an end to the total coronavirus lockdown. They feel the government's concessions and measures that will characterize phase 2 are chaotic, lack logic, and don't go far enough and will further cripple the economy. Sabina Castelfranco has more for VOA.
Restrictions on Italians due to the coronavirus pandemic will start to be eased on May 4th, but very gradually, as the government is still fearful that the number of infections could easily rise again. Addressing the nation on live television Sunday evening, Prime Minister Giuseppe Conte appealed to Italians to maintain their sense of responsibility during phase 2, in which the country must coexist with the virus.
Nella fase 2 quindi sarà ancora più importante mantenere le distanze di sicurezza.
During phase 2, Conte said, it will be even more important to maintain social distancing, and fundamental will be the responsible behavior of each person. If you care about Italy, he added, you must avoid the spread of infections. The Prime Minister said Italians will now be allowed to meet family members, but only in small groups. They will still not be allowed to move from one Italian region to another unless they have a valid motivation for work or health matters, and everyone will still be required to carry a form explaining the reason for their travel. Parks will reopen and Italians will no longer be obliged to stay within close range of their homes. Factories and construction sites will be able to resume their activities, but bars and restaurants will only be able to provide takeaway service for the time being. Conte said no one will be returning to school until September. Parents were left wondering what they will do with their children. Many Italians have had enough of staying indoors for weeks and voiced their dissatisfaction with the decisions taken by the government. They do not understand the logic behind the different dates provided for reopenings. Why can museums open their doors on May 18th, but hairdressers not until June 1st? The Prime Minister stressed reopenings would require the full respect of security protocols. Italian right-wing politician Giorgia Meloni spoke shortly after the Prime Minister's Sunday evening address to the nation on live television and echoed the feelings of many in this country. She said that, like everyone else in Italy, she waited with great trepidation for the Prime Minister's details of Phase 2, expecting important announcements, only to discover there were hardly any changes at all.
Ci vorrebbe una logica, e la logica non può essere mai quella della discriminazione.
Meloni said there should be a logic, and the logic cannot be the discrimination of certain sectors. Why are some being helped and others left to die? She said Italians have for weeks accepted the government rules in the name of public health and to deal with this pandemic, but now they feel many of their rights are being trodden on.
Io non sono d'accordo sul fatto che alcuni non debbano riaprire.
Meloni said she did not agree that some cannot reopen for another month, because this will mean that some will never reopen. The state, she insisted, has not provided valid reasons for their decisions or the required financial assistance. Italy has had the highest number of deaths from coronavirus in Europe, with more than 26,000. There were 260 virus-related deaths in the last 24 hours, the lowest number in the past 6 weeks. Sabina Castelfranco for VOA News, Rome.
While countries from Italy to New Zealand announced the easing of coronavirus lockdowns, Britain's Prime Minister Boris Johnson, who is back to work now following his hospitalization with the disease, said it's too early to relax restrictions there. Many countries are looking to ease lockdowns as rates of infections fall and fears of economic ruin rise. Lebanese have taken to the streets again, both in cars and on foot, to protest that country's deteriorating economic situation despite a lockdown and curfew imposed because of the coronavirus. The demonstrators say they're forced to choose between dying of hunger or disease. As Dale Gavlak reports from Amman, analysts predict a full-fledged catastrophe as huge pressure builds on the working and middle classes and refugees, who are the most vulnerable.
Warmer spring weather and job losses over the lockdown have brought angry Lebanese back to the streets in protests throughout the country. Some are blocking highways with burning tires. Health Minister Hamid Hassan warned that the demonstrations posed an imminent danger that will undermine all the achievements that have been made in containing the pandemic. He urged protesters to be careful, keep a distance, and wear masks so that they don't transfer the virus from the streets to their families, while expressing pain felt by every Lebanese citizen. Nationwide protests first erupted last October against the entire ruling class, accusing it of corruption and squandering public money. COVID-19, the disease caused by the coronavirus, has compounded Lebanon's financial woes. The Lebanese have seen the value of their savings tumbling, their currency plummeting, painful price increases, and job losses.
Here are some of the other stories we're following at VOA. Construction workers were back at the burned shell of Notre Dame Cathedral in Paris Monday, resuming the massive task of rebuilding after the coronavirus outbreak forced a month-and-a-half-long pause. The fire engulfed the 850-year-old building April 15th of last year. The flames destroyed the spire and roof and came within 30 minutes of razing the cathedral to the ground, according to officials. Lockdowns around Latin America are helping slow the spread of COVID-19, but are having a darker and less intended consequence. A spike in calls to helplines suggests a rise in domestic abuse in a region where almost 20 million women and girls suffer sexual and physical violence each year. In cities from Buenos Aires to Mexico City, Santiago, Sao Paulo, and La Paz, families and individuals have been confined in their homes in an unprecedented way, often only allowed out for emergencies or to shop for essentials. And South Korean officials say they have not detected any unusual movements in North Korea and are cautioning against reports that North Korean leader Kim Jong-un may be ill or is being isolated because of coronavirus concerns. At a closed-door forum on Sunday, South Korea's Unification Ministry, who oversees engagement with the North, said the government has the intelligence capabilities to say with confidence that there are no indications of anything unusual. Stay with VOA for all the latest U.S. and world news.